lot's happening in football, ladies and gentlemen. A lot is happening in the world of football, NFL, college, you name it. And we're going to get right down to the bottom of it. So I can't wait to see what's going to implode in the next few weeks. But with this episode, we may have a sprinkle of college news on here, and we're going to talk about it here later in the show. You already know what I'm talking about. It was announced yesterday. We're going to discuss it on this show. I normally don't discuss college football on NFL episodes unless it involves the draft usually, but on this, we are going to do that. We are going to discuss something big that happened in the world of college football yesterday that involves the NFL. And we're going to discuss it, and we're going to talk about it on this episode. We're going to discuss and recap a tremendous Week 14, because let me go on and tell you something. It was a tremendous Week 14, as well as we have a jam-packed Week 15 coming up. Also, on that, we have a pretty jam-packed injury report, not like jam-packed, but pretty significant that it will involve the outcome of team seasons. So, without further ado, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful and chilly Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below, Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram, at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow, like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates, news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Home and About Me page. Learn more about me as your podcast host. You can learn and contact me down below. Contact info down below. Name, email, question. I will answer it off air or on air if need be, as well as our platforms page. For all the platforms I just mentioned, go and click on which one's your favorite listening style, and then there's the affiliations and store pages, which are coming soon. So check more on www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com eventually for more updates for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, NFL day today. I just mentioned the college football news coming up on this show, but NFL day today, we got a lot to talk about, especially a sprinkle of college football news in this episode. So usually we don't do that, but we're going to do it in this episode because it's quite interesting. Some news out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. You already know what I'm talking about, and we're going to discuss that here later on in the episode. We're going to talk about the Week 14 recap, the Week 15 preview and predictions, a loaded slate of games coming up this weekend, and a loaded slate for Week 14. And plus, you can call me the Magic Man again on at least one game, because I got everything down to a T on one game. We're going to discuss that here in a little bit. 4,300 listeners. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show, the podcast on all platforms. 4,300 listeners. Thank you so much for tuning into Pigskin Frenzy each and every Tuesday and Thursday. Announcements. Big announcements. The last episode of the 2024 year is for Pigskin Frenzy. It's December 19th, 2024, which is next week. Next Thursday will be the last episode of the 2024 year. We are taking a break, going down to Mississippi and going back home for Christmas. Here, the Pigskin Frenzy team is. And not only that, we will be covering games via social media, via our socials. Keep plugging in on X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. And we will be back January 2nd with a brand new episode of Pigskin Frenzy on all platforms. Episode 1. This is episode 183. Episode 184 and 85 will be next week. Episode 186 will be on Thursday, January 2nd. We will be back right after New Year's on the 2nd, right back to work and on all platforms. That is our next show after December 19th. Guys, we got to celebrate the holidays too. We got lives too. So we're ready to do that. Pumped about that. Going on a break a little bit, but we're still covering games. We're still covering playoffs. We're still covering everything. We're just going to do it via social media until January 2nd due to the holidays and due to Christmas and New Year. So that's the latest announcement there. No changes there. Just wanted to let everybody know on that. But also, let's get right down to it. NFL day today. Let's recap these games. This was tremendous Week 14 slate of games. Week 14 recap. Joel Norris, was 3-1 in my NFL picks this weekend, and I was honestly surprised about Monday Night Football. You can call me a hooper, as you can see me on YouTube swishing, and we don't talk about basketball on this show, but I just took the ball and I just put it through the net, and I made a grand swish from the 3-point line with this pick on Monday Night Football, because I got everything right down to the score. So we're going to talk about that game here in a little bit. 3-1 in my NFL picks. One game that I got wrong that I did not see coming. And we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Let's talk about the game that I got right first. The first game, at least, that I got right. And that is Thursday Night Football. Last week's Thursday Night Football game on Prime. Lions, Packers in Detroit. Let's get to it. Good game. Back and forth game. I was highly entertained. We watched it, Packers and Lions. We were keeping up with it. I was thinking that the Lions were going to win this game close and win it more outright. They did win it outright. Higher scoring affair. Got it right. Final score, Lions 34, Packers 31. Lions go to 12-1. Packers go to 9-4. Back and forth game. The Lions were getting some heat. Packers were bringing it to them. It was a highly contested game on both sides, and both teams, both sides of the football, all around was just a highly competitive game from both teams. The Lions in a lot of areas were getting it brought to them, and they were not. Stat-wise, it doesn't show, because stat-wise, the Lions won the game except by one area. But in a lot of ways, the Packers were bringing it to them physically. A lot of hard hitting in that game as well. I was looking at that game, and I was like, wow. These hits, you can hear them. You can hear the pop. It sounds like fireworks out there, because it's a lot of hitting going on in Ford Field right now. So let's talk about the Lions and what they did right. So how about Jared Goff is like the man? And I keep saying that. I keep saying he's a top-tier quarterback in the league. No one listens to me. You guys on social media must hear me now, and on the podcast must hear me now. Jared Goff is elite, okay? And he's playing like he's elite. Did he have a blemish? Sure, he has a blemish, but every quarterback has a blemish nowadays. 32 for 41, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. The running game was also on point. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries, 43 yards. David Montgomery, 14 carries, 51 yards, and 1 touchdown, both for Sonic and Knuckles. They were solid. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a 10-yard rush. He also had 43 yards, 5 receptions. Jamison Williams, 80 yards, 5 receptions. Sam Laporta, 54 yards, 5 receptions. You also got Tim Patrick with 2 touchdowns, 43 yards, and 6 receptions. Tim Patrick coming into his own as a top receiver on this team. Jahmyr Gibbs had 30 yards, 6 receptions, and a touchdown, and a slip pass for a touchdown before the half. It was epic to see it. This defense is playing lights out, especially with all the injuries going on with this team, and they're playing physical on a high level. Jack Campbell, 8 total tackles on the day. Muhammad had 4 total tackles. Kirby Joseph had 4 total tackles. Brian Branch had 3 total tackles. Terrion Arnold had 3 total tackles. They got to Jordan Love. As far as I know, they got to him once. Yeah, they got to him once, and they've just been really physical up front on the line of scrimmage as well in this ball game. So those are some positive circle moments we can take away from this team. Let's talk about some negative circle moments we can take away from this team, honestly, and some negative. Well, I mean, here's one more positive before we move on to the negative. 7 for 15 on third down. They were winning on third down in the game. They were converting 391 total yards compared to their 298. 280 passing compared to their 100, compared to the Packers 199. Rushing 111 for the Lions compared to Green Bay's 99. So that was pretty level, like evenly leveled by both teams. There's also yards per play. The Packers outgained them 6.6 yards per play compared to their 5.1 yards per play, but not by much. The negatives come in with that 1 interception and the 7 penalties for 56 yards. I think they got to control their penalties. I think the penalties, and it's kind of beating a dead horse at this point with the Lions, but they really have to control their penalties, because I think sooner rather than later, it's going to come a time in a ball game where they're going to have to clean that up. They're going to have to clean that up before they play in the playoffs at a high-level game, in a high-level football game, a Super Bowl, playoff, you name it, or those penalties are going to catch up to them and they're going to lose a game unexpectedly and get knocked out and end their season early unexpectedly. And we don't need that from the Lions. This Lions is a very talented team. They're 12-1, probably best team in the league. Let me tell you about time of possession in this game. That mattered a whole bunch. The Lions 36 minutes and 6 seconds compared to the Packers 23 minutes and 54 seconds. Give credit to the Lions defense on this because of a lot of injuries that have been happening for this defense. They have kept Green Bay pretty thin a little bit on time of possession and controlling the ball and controlling the clock. The Lions did, especially on offense. Slow, methodical drives, and not only that, the Lions kept the offense for the Packers in check. So the Lions have been doing pretty good with the injuries and the depth problems they've had and making do with what they have and finding ways to win games. So good on Detroit. They really have been doing that. I think the penalties are a concern for me. They're going to have to figure out ways to slow that down and, control that because I think penalties are game killers. They're not just drive killers, they're game killers. They are going to lose you games that you're not expected to lose. So you don't really need to commit too many more penalties, right? So final score of this game was 34-31. The Lions coming up Sunday have the Bills, and we are covering that game this Sunday afternoon, 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central. Bills at Lions. Cannot wait for that cinema of a game because that is just the word cinema written all over it. Cannot wait to cover that game. I'm so excited. We are doing that game for Pigskin this coming up Sunday for Week 15. Let's see what the Lions have in store for that one. The Packers in this ball game did everything they could to try to throw Detroit off its heels. It just kind of didn't work, and it really didn't, and that's okay. The Lions are just a better team right now. That's the season series for them. They've lost 2 straight to Detroit. That is it. The Lions have swept them this year, but that's okay. The Packers have made a lot of mistakes late in the game, like the penalties, to lead them down to a game-winning field goal with Jake Bates. But the Packers are a team that could probably meet them again in the playoffs if they wanted to. Really, they're a team that can meet them in the playoffs again if they wanted to, because I think Green Bay is a playoff team. The way they play, the way they carry themselves on both sides of the ball, balanced offense, especially with a run-first mentality with Josh Jacobs, they carry themselves in a manner of we are going to win and keep winning and go to the playoffs. Let's talk about Josh Jacobs in this ball game. He had 66 yards, 18 carries, and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Jordan Love, 12 for 20, 206 yards and a touchdown. He also had 23 yards and 4 carries on the ground. Wilson had a 7-yard rush. Christian Watson, 4 receptions, 114 yards. They had no answer for Christian Watson, even though they won the game. The Lions had no answer for Christian Watson at receiver. Wicks had 49 yards, 4 receptions. Tucker Kraft, a touchdown, 41 yards, and 3 receptions. Tucker Kraft, I said, was going to be a key to this game, like a key player in this game, and he was, especially on blocking, because he blocked really, really well against this Lions defense and for this Packers offense. For Jacobs to get into the end zone as well, good blocking tight end is Tucker Kraft, and a lot of people don't give him credit. This defense, Nixon picks with turned the ball over with an interception. He had 10 total tackles. Quay Walker had 10 total tackles. Clark had 8 total tackles. Isaiah McDuffie had 15 total tackles. Isaiah McDuffie was a workhorse in this game. Xavier McKinney had 7 total tackles. This defense was tackling well, hitting hard, and playing physical, but at the end of the day, just could not slow it down on the penalties, and the penalties late is what cost them this game. Those were some positive circle moments. The penalties were a negative circle moment for this team. Let's talk about those really quick before we move on to the other games and recap the other games. 7 penalties for 59 yards. Also, one key fumble that they lost. They were also 1 for 5 on third down efficiency. 1 for 5. That's not the best. While they capitalized on first and second down, which is really good for that offense, they really really lost in the third down area compared to the Lions. And they had to punt the ball 3 times compared to the Lions 2, but at the same time, third downs matter. Especially on this show for Pigskin Frenzy, third downs matter a lot. You have to convert, and you got to keep drives going. And on third down, they couldn't keep stuff going. I think that was another reason why the Packers lost this ball game. Against everybody else, the Packers didn't seem to have a problem with that, but against the Lions, they really seemed to have a problem with that. To me, and this is just how I view everything in the Lions and the Packers this season, the Lions are the better football team. They played each other in the playoffs again in a rematch, third time. I'm picking the Lions again, only because they're better this year. Not only better this year than they were last year, they're better than the Packers this year. Packers, solid football team and will make the playoffs. But if they find a way against each other to rematch and find their paths, find their way to each other again, especially in the playoffs, I'm taking the Lions again. They're the best team in the NFC. You can argue with me on that. You can think, oh, it's the Eagles, it's the Vikings. No. I think the Lions are better than both. I think they're the more complete team on offense. I think they're the more complete team defensively. Well, maybe defensively with their guys in, put it that way. And then on special teams, I think that on offense, the Eagles have a run. This is a whole different conversation, but run balance. They lean more towards on the run, and their throwing is second fewest in yards per game through the air. It's different with the Lions. The Lions are perfectly balanced, like Thanos in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, perfectly balanced, like all things should be, right? In the MCU of Marvel, shouted that out. It's like that, but it's in football. They're perfectly balanced, like all things should be, and the Eagles and the Vikings aren't really like that. So I think they're the best team in the NFC. Packers are a playoff team, and the Packers are a team where I think they're going to win out probably the majority in the rest of their season, and they're going to make it into the playoffs. Probably at that fifth seed. I would think the 5th seed. The highest ranked non-divisional champion seed, the 5th seed, the Packers will rank there because I think that they are better than most teams. I really do. I think they're better than most teams. I think they are better than most teams in the NFC, and I think they will find their way into the playoffs. They're a solid football team. Packers this Sunday coming up if I can get my notes ready, guys. Let me see. They had the Seahawks Sunday Night Football. That's who they got. I was thinking on my notes. Packers and Seahawks Sunday night. I was debating on doing that game, but then I decided let's just go with the Bucks and Chargers. Spoiler alert, we're doing Bucks and Chargers. But I decided I was thinking about doing that, but we're not doing this game. But Packers at Seahawks should be an interesting contest between the two this Sunday night on Sunday Night Football in Seattle. So that's going to be a game for both. Let's see if the Packers can pull out a win here. I am leaning more towards Green Bay to win this game. But we'll see. 8:20 Eastern, 7:20 Central on NBC, Sunday Night Football between Packers and Seahawks. Final score of this game was 34-31. The Lions defeat the Packers. The Lions are just the best team in the NFC. Packers are going to move on and play the Seahawks Sunday. Lions got the Bills Sunday afternoon, 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central, which we are covering. I am so excited for Week 15. Let's move on to the other 3 games. Let's talk about the one that I got wrong, the only one I got wrong, Bills and Rams. I picked the Bills to win this game. I thought that the Rams needed to find something within themselves this Sunday to make it a must-win game for them, because it kind of was a must-win game for them as we get later and later in the season, and they got it done. They won the game. Final score, 44-42 in a high-scoring game. Rams 44, Bills 42. When did I become inaccurate with the Rams? I honestly it was a close game, and I thought the Bills were going to win, but I got this one wrong. I was pretty accurate at picking Rams games all year, but I'm starting to misunderstand the Rams again now. I didn't know. All right, Sean McVay, I didn't know how, I guess I wasn't familiar with the game that you were playing here. 44-42, Rams defeated the Bills. High-scoring game. And Josh Allen is still legit. He played lights out in this game, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit because he is the MVP right now. There's no doubt in my mind he is the MVP right now. The way he is playing, if it was between Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, I don't know who I would pick. But if the Bengals were a winning team, it'd be more of a debate. But the Bills are a winning team, AFC East champions, and already in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure I'm picking Josh Allen right now to win MVP. Scratch that in here in a little bit. We're going to talk about that. Let's talk about the Rams really quick before we move on to the Bills. The Rams in this game are now in a mindset of, okay, if we keep winning, we have a shot from how the rest of their schedule plays out, because they play tonight at 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central tonight on Prime against the Niners. They have a shot to win 11 games throughout their schedule. They have a shot at going 11-6, winning the NFC West, and being into the playoffs. So everything for them and their mindset right now with Sean McVay and company is do or die. And I think that's the mindset that the Rams need to have going in throughout. The Rams in this game had that mindset. Nacua, if you had Puka Nacua in this game for in fantasy, you're lucky to have him because he played lights out in this ball game. He is the positive circle moment for us in this ball game. 162 yards, a touchdown, and 12 receptions. He also had 5 carries and 16 yards for a touchdown. Kyron Williams, 29 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. How about that balanced rushing attack? They're listening to me on Pigskin Frenzy. Finally, praise the Lord, the Rams are listening, guys. A balanced rushing attack with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. 34 yards, 8 carries, 34 yards for Blake Corum. Matthew Stafford, the quarterback, had 23 for 30. He was 23 for 30 passing, 320 yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air. Cooper Kupp went off as well, 92 yards, 5 receptions, 1 touchdown as well. Played really good. Really good ball. This team's offense was electric. They were out. They were gashing that defense this Sunday, and they were playing with a do-or-die mindset. This defense also was playing physical. They were playing physical in the line of scrimmage. They didn't get any sacks, no, but they made some tackles and made some hard hits for sure, and they were playing physical, and as they could. They outscored Josh Allen. They really did. Stafford used his weapons around him, created a balanced rushing attack, and I think what really killed the Bills in this game was the penalties, and we're going to talk about that, even though the Rams had more penalties. But the Rams just did a little bit more to win the game, and they controlled time of possession. They kept themselves on the field and created and wasted more clock than the Bills did. The Bills scored more quick. The Rams were more methodical with their drives, and I think that was the difference this Sunday. Let's talk about the stats on paper, because on paper it was pretty close in a lot of areas. In total yards, 457 for the Rams compared to the Bills 445. Passing, 342 for the Bills compared to their 320. 137 rushing for Rams compared to the Bills 103. Yards per play, 8.2 yards per play compared to their 6.3 yards per play. That's just insane if you think about it. Second down, then first down. That's just crazy. But in third down efficiency, they were 11 for 14, 100% on fourth downs. They protected Matthew Stafford. And I said that was a huge key in this game. They had to protect Matthew Stafford, and they did. Not only that, the time of possession was insane. 38 minutes, 30 seconds compared to their 21 minutes and 30 seconds. They ate up clock. Big time. Slow, methodical drives. Puka Nacua killed them on a lot of drives. When the Bills thought they had them down, drive killer. Third down conversions. Third down conversion. And then another third down conversion. You're sitting there going, what do we have to do to get these guys? And the clock just went on. Just went on. and the clock just drained out, and the Rams won. High-scoring game. This was the most entertaining. I think this was probably one of the most entertaining, if not the most entertaining game by far this week and this weekend, and it's the game they got wrong, right? The Rams look good. They have a do-or-die attitude. They need to keep that mindset throughout the rest of the year to get into the playoffs. They have a shot, if they play like this, to win out the rest of their schedule, win the NFC West, and be one of the top 4 seeds in the NFC playoffs. Hands down, bar none. I think they do. I think they really do if they play like this. Here's my concern. The penalties were a concern. 9 penalties, 99 yards. Again, penalties, right? Penalties are a concern for me. 9 penalties and 99 yards is pretty rough. That's losable numbers. That's a game killer. And on this show, that's what we're going to start calling them, game killers, because they are game killers. You can lose games when you're not supposed to lose them because of those penalties. So 9 penalties, 99 yards. They got to clean that up. Protecting Matthew Stafford is key. Protecting the football is key. I think having that balanced attack in the run game is key as well. And just having that mindset and physical mindset of do or die, it's now or never, is a way to run the table and go to the NFC playoffs. That's my logic. And I think the Rams need to keep having that mindset to win ball games like this. The Rams Sunday, the Rams tonight, rather, have the Niners tonight on Amazon Prime. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, I suggest watching this ball game. NFC West showdown, Rams at 49ers tonight, 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central on Amazon Prime Video with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on the call. If you have that subscription, watch the game tonight. If you don't have it, I would subscribe and get that subscription for Amazon Prime and tune in to this ball game because you're not going to want to miss it. It's tonight. We're not covering it, but it's going to be an interesting game, and it plays in to the Rams. They are second in the NFC West, and this helps their chances tremendously in this ball game. And I'm pretty sure, and this is an unofficial pick, I'm leaning more towards the Rams to take the win tonight. So 44-42 was the final score. Let's talk about the Bills really quick before we get into the other 2 games, the injury report, some news, and then the preview and predictions. So, Bills in this ball game. How about Josh Allen? Josh Allen is a freaking madman. You heard me, madman. He is the MVP of this league. Hands down, he's the MVP of this league. Nobody better right now than Josh Allen, on a winning team at least. Joe Burrow could argue that, but we're not talking about the Bengals and Joe Burrow right now because they are, unfortunately, not a winning team. It would be a debate if he was a winning team with him, but it's not a debate right now. Josh Allen is playing lights out. 342 yards, 3 touchdowns, 22 for 37. He also had 10 carries, 82 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. 8.2 yards per rush. For a quarterback, he's a freight train. He had 6 total touchdowns in this game. And over 400, and I would think 390, almost 400 plus yards total. Like this man is a straight assassin on the ground, through the air, and he's playing lights out. This is the best I've seen Josh Allen look, hands down. He's not turning the ball over. He's protecting the football, and he's playing with a mindset of, okay, I'm putting this on my shoulders, and this is a time where we will have to try to win the AFC and go to New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. He is having that mindset right now, and Josh Allen is a dangerous quarterback when playing like that. James Cook had 20 yards, 6 carries. Khalil Shakir had a touchdown, 106 yards, 5 receptions. Hollins had 57 yards, 4 receptions, and a touchdown. Amari Cooper had 95 yards, 6 receptions. Johnson had Ty Johnson had 55 yards, a touchdown, and 2 carries. This defense was very physical as well. They just could not stop them on 3rd down. I think that was the negative circle moment for me, but they played physical as well. So those are the positive circle moments that I can come up with for the Bills. Josh Allen, the defense playing physical enough, but also the negative in that is them giving up a lot of 3rd downs on that. I think they could have ran the ball a lot better, obviously, with their backs. 103 total yards rushing, and I think they could have ran the ball tremendously, like a lot better. I think they got out physical in a lot of plays, but not a whole lot. I think the defense had a lot of holes in their game, but they also played really, really physical as well. So it was kind of hot and cold for the defense in this game, and that's not what you want to have moving forward. So the Bills need to change that up. But other than that, it was a high-octane game for both teams. They were 5 for 9 on third down efficiency, so not bad. They didn't really convert on fourth down at all. They protected the football. The only problem was they scored really, really quick and gave the ball back to them. And they were getting gashed on slow, methodical drives. And I think that was their problem. The defense couldn't really keep up on those slow, methodical drives. And that's what happened, and that's how they lost this ball game. 7 penalties for 59 yards is a negative circle moment for me. I think they got to clean that up, and they got to play a lot better and more disciplined if they want to beat Detroit Sunday. Hands down. We're going to talk about that game here in a little bit. They're going to have to clean that up. Other than that, the Bills are still a good team. They just need to clean some stuff up if they want to win the whole thing. They're 10-3, so not bad, obviously, but the Rams were more in a do-or-die mindset. The Bills have everything in front of them. The Rams are a backs-against-the-wall team, and those teams are the most dangerous. You're playing against a team, if you're Buffalo, that is in a, like I said, do-or-die mindset, backs against the wall, and that is when teams are at their most dangerous. That's anybody. That's any team that you play against. You're at your most dangerous when you're playing against a team like that. And those are the games you got to watch out for. So I was careful at picking this game, but I thought that Buffalo was good enough to win this game. And I think if they rematched, Buffalo still is good enough to win this ball game. But the Rams had a more methodical game plan this go round, and they were in that mindset, and they just couldn't be stopped in this game. So Bills coming up, 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central, play the Lions in Detroit, Ford Field. Tough environment, tough game. Gonna be a good one, a cinema of a showdown. I cannot wait for that game. I'm so excited just talking about it, but cannot wait to watch that game. Cannot wait to cover that game Sunday. 44-42 was the final score. Rams defeat the Bills. Both of them have huge games coming up this week and this weekend, tonight and Sunday, and it's going to be a good one for NFL Week 15 for both. So we'll see what these two teams do for both coming up in Week 15. Two more games. Let's go with Sunday Night Football, Chiefs and the Chargers. In this ball game, I picked the Chiefs to win this game, and I got it right. Final score of this ball game was 19-17. Chiefs 19, Chargers 17. The Chiefs win their 9th straight AFC West title. So they are division champions once again. They're 12-1. They're the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs right now and could receive a first round bye if they clinch that seed currently. So they get their division title, and when you look at the Chiefs, they are a team where it's like, whatever it takes. I'm quoting Avengers, I'm quoting Marvel, whatever it takes. If you've watched the Marvel movies, and if you've seen Avengers Endgame, go and watch them. If you haven't seen Marvel, highly encourage it. I am a huge nerd for those movies. Go and watch them. They're fantastic. Whatever it takes is the mindset. For real, whatever it takes. And the Chiefs are that. Whatever it takes. They are inevitable, it seems like. And who can stop it? Who's going to be the end game to the Kansas City Chiefs trying to three-peat for a Super Bowl? Who is the end game? That is what we're looking at. Comparing it to Marvel again. Who is the end game? What's the end game? I can title it that. That could be my episode here. What's the end game? Episode 183. For the Chiefs team. For Kansas City, what's the end game? And I'm curious. I'm highly curious on what's the end game for this team, because they are not a perfect team, and they proved that this weekend. They proved that this weekend as well. Sunday Night Football, very close battle with the Chargers, but they find a way to. They find a way to win. That Chiefs defense is top 5 in a lot of categories, and they prove it. They are dominant, a physically dominant defense, and they prove it each and every time. But they can get gashed as well. The Chiefs have some flaws, but they find a way to win. On offense, on special teams, on defense. That's what Patrick Mahomes says. They find a way to win. let's talk about this team and some positive circle moments for this team. 24 for 37, 210 yards, a touchdown for Patrick Mahomes. Isaiah Pacheco, 55 yards, 14 carries. Mahomes had 4 carries and 17 yards rushing. Kareem Hunt had 16 yards, 5 carries. Xavier Worthy had a 5-yard run. P-Ron had a 3-yard run. Kelsey, 45 yards, 5 receptions. And congratulations to Travis Kelsey on breaking the all-time record, moving past for receiving, for at least receiving as a tight end, moving past Tony Gonzalez. So congratulations to Travis Kelsey and moving past him all time on that this past Sunday. So he broke the record. Congratulations to Travis Kelsey on that. But 45 yards, 5 receptions. Xavier Worthy, 41 yards, 5 receptions. D-Hop had a touchdown, 32 yards and 4 receptions. Juju Smith-Schuster, 31 yards, 2 receptions. Noah Gray, 26 yards, 4 receptions. Defense played really, really good and physical. They had 3 sacks. 3 sacks on the night. They played really, really good. Connor had 8 total tackles. Nick Bolton had a sack and 5 total tackles. Tranquil, 7 total tackles. I mean, if you look at them, Chris Jones, 2 tackles. Wharton had 3 total tackles and two sacks. I mean, they played physical, and this defense is really, really physical. Steve Spags is assistant coach of the year, hands down, once again, for what he's done with this defense. He has done a tremendous job in being very physical. Those are the positive circle moments, is that defense. They got to Justin Herbert 3 times, and Mahomes on the game-winning drive found a way to get him down to a field goal. So whatever it takes to win, those are the positive circle moments for this Chiefs team. Here are some negative circle moments for this Chiefs team. And if you guys don't want to hear the negatives here in Kansas City, cover your ears. But I highly suggest opening your ears for this, because this could be your end game. 3 sacks allowed. Last week it was 5 sacks allowed. So the past 2 weeks defensive lines have gotten to Patrick Mahomes 8 times. 8 times they have sacked Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has been sacked in the span of 2 weeks. That's a high number. That's a pretty high number, and I think the line needs to get a lot better. I think the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs needs to get a lot better. I think that they still need to get better. They improved this week. They need to get a lot better on that. They need to run the ball better. 96 yards compared to their 94 rushing yards. Chargers need to get better at running the ball too. 202 passing compared to their 194. 298 total yards compared to their 288. And 4.6 yards per play compared to the Chargers' 5.1 yards per play. So on paper, it was pretty even in a lot of areas. They need to get better at offensive line. And surprisingly, you really cannot say that the Chiefs are getting called in the refs' favor, because they got more penalties called than the Chargers did, and more yardage. 98 yards, 8 penalties. 98 yards, 8 penalties for this Chiefs team. And they need to tone down those penalties, and they still won. Again, this Chiefs team is like Thanos. They're inevitable. It's like whenever it takes. Is it infinity? Are we in the infinity war of the three-peat? Are we in the end game? Because back-to-back years, I felt like we were in infinity war. I think this year we could be in the end game with the Kansas City Chiefs. They may not three-peat. Who knows? But the Chiefs are inevitable, it seems like. And it really is a whatever it takes mindset with the Kansas City Chiefs at this point. They drove down the field, kicked a field goal with a emergency third string kicker to win the ball game. 19-17 was the final. It literally is a whatever it takes mindset, and I just don't know really what the end game is. I can't really figure out the Kansas City Chiefs in a lot of ways, other than their defense is good. Mahomes does whatever it takes, and Mahomes is an amazing quarterback, the best in the league. And you don't really know, honestly, what the end game is, but we're going to figure it out eventually. I think that they most likely will clinch the number 1 seed in the AFC. I know a lot of Taylor fans and I know a lot of Chiefs fans are going to be happy to hear that. I think you need to unplug your ears again. I think there's a lot of things that could cost them. I really do. I think the Chiefs are a beatable team. I think they are a beatable team. I think everybody's a beatable team in the NFL on any given Sunday, in any given playoff moment, on any given down. Everybody's a beatable team. But I think the Chiefs have a lot of flaws that they need to work out. I think the offensive line and the penalties are concerning. I think the offensive line is more of a concern than the penalties are. I think the line needs to get better. I think protecting Mahomes needs to get better. And Mahomes turning the ball over on top of that is the no-go as well. So did he protect the ball this go-round? Sure he did. Can not blocking and protecting him lead to more turnovers? Absolutely it can. So the Chiefs need to get a lot better at that. I mean, 8 for 15 at third downs. They're really good at converting on third down, but they got to protect him more. And I think that's a big concern about me for the Chiefs right now. Other than that, Kansas City's 12-1. They're the AFC West champions. They're the number 1 seed currently in the playoffs. Final score was 19-17. They defeated the Chargers in this one, and they play this coming up Sunday, the Browns. Browns, 1 Eastern, noon Central, in Cleveland, in an away game for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs at Browns this Sunday afternoon, week 15. Let's see what the Chiefs do. They're a 4.5 for 5-point favorite as we know it right now. I would have probably ranked that a little bit higher on my odds, but on the pigskin odds, that's definitely not 4.5-point favorite for me. But final score was 19-17. Chiefs defeat the Chargers. Before we go to Monday Night Football, let's talk about the Chargers here. The Chargers in this one were a team where they competed, but they gave it up late, and they just couldn't hold on to him late on defense. Defensively, they kind of broke down late, and I think that's what happened in this game. It was 17-16 late, and they could not stop Mahomes on a game-winning drive. That's what they faced. They faced Mahomes when there's pressure on him. He excels in game-winning drives, and that's what they faced this Sunday night. Justin Herbert took a beating in this game. I mean, there were some positive circle moments. Yes, 213, a touchdown, 21 for 30. Yes, a touchdown, 36 yards for 10 carries for Gus Edwards. And if you want to look at Palmer looked good, 78 yards, 6 carries. Quentin Johnson, 48 yards, a touchdown, 5 receptions. Palmer had 6 receptions, 78 yards. Stone Smart had 54 yards, 3 receptions. They had, and the defense looked good too. They sacked him 3 times. Sacked Mahomes 3 times, and they look good defensively, and they look physical on defense. They are very physical on defense against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. They looked good, except for the fact that late in the game, when it mattered, they were nowhere to be found. 6 for 13 on third down efficiency. They were 100% on fourth down when they went for it. I think penalties killed them. 7 penalties for 50 yards is what really killed them, and then those sacks killed them. And they can't. They're not protecting Justin Herbert. So Justin Herbert, that's a negative circle moment there. He took a beating in this game, and I think as the season goes on, that's going to hurt. You do not need to. Keep up right now. I won't say keep up. I would say you need to protect him more and keep up on that more and work on that more as these games come up. You got the Buccaneers Sunday afternoon. That's going to be a tough game at home if you're trying to protect Justin Herbert. They got the Broncos in a divisional game. That's Thursday. That's next Thursday on Prime. And that may be a game that we cover. We're covering the Chargers a lot now. That may be a game we cover. Broncos and Chargers. And guess who leads the league in sacks? The Denver Broncos. So you got to protect Justin Herbert more on that one. The Patriots and then the Raiders. And those are the next few games. To get into the playoffs, if y'all keep losing these ball games due to stuff like this, it's not going to be a good thing. It's going to be we went on a run for a little bit, and then we slid down after we dipped a little bit. We slid down, and then that's what we get games that are cost to us, and we don't win out, and we miss the playoffs. That's tough there for the Chargers, in my opinion. When eventually, I think this defense is a playoff defense for sure. I think this defense is a playoff defense. I think they need to protect Herbert, and I think they need to establish a balanced running game, and they need to get some backs in there that can run the ball and can also help Justin Herbert out in the pass, because they showed a lot of weakness in that this past Sunday in Arrowhead. There's a lot of things they need to work on. I think they could be better at. I think it's going to be fine. I think the Chargers are going to be fine. It's Jim Harbaugh's first year. He's doing great to me in his first year and exceeding expectations in his first year as Chargers head coach. Just wait till next year and see what the Chargers are going to bring to the table next season. That's going to be something quite interesting for NFL and AFC West faithful out there. So final score of this game for me was 19-17. 19-17, Chiefs 19, Chargers 17. The Chargers this Sunday have a home game against the Bucs, 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central kick. And the Chiefs have 1 Eastern, 12 noon Central kick against the Browns in Cleveland. Let's talk about Monday Night Football really quick before we move on to the news and talk about injury report and the preview predictions for Week 15. Bengals at Cowboys. And I said last week this game was going to be all about who commits less mistakes. And who commits less mistakes, who commits, less mistakes, who's going to look better, a little bit, slightly better than the other, and who is going to win in that regard. Who is going to cause more self-inflicted wounds to themselves. And I got everything right. Everything was right about this game that I did. I said 27-20. That was the final score. Bengals 27, Cowboys 20. Call me the Magic Man for at least this one game because I got everything right on this game. Bengals 27, Cowboys 20 was the legit final score of this ball game last week. If you want to roll the clip, you can roll it. You can watch it on Pigskin Frenzy episode 181 last week. I said it was 27-20, final score of this game, and it was 27-20. So call me the Magic Man. Got this game right. Let's talk about these two teams. The Bengals created less self-inflicting wounds, even though the penalties were atrocious. 433 total yards compared to the Cowboys, 322. Passing, 359 compared to their 166. They couldn't run the ball to save their life, but 156 rushing yards for the Cowboys compared to their 74 rushing yards. And then yards per play, 6.7 yards per play compared to the Cowboys, 5.7 yards per play. Joe Burrow, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 369 yards, 33 for 44. Joe Burrow is playing like a madman, and it is a shame that this team is 5-8. It's all due to coaching, and I've said that, but it is a shame that this man is on a team where they're 5-8 when this man should be in the MVP conversation and leading a team to a playoff. Hands down. Chase Brown, 58 yards, 14 carries. Jamar Chase, a 14-yard run. But let's talk about Jamar Chase because he was the positive circle moment for this game. 177 yards, 14 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. Am I surprised? No, because he leads the league in touchdown receptions and receiving yards because he is an absolute menace in the receiving game this year. He is a candidate, in my opinion, for Offensive Player of the Year, hands down. Let's talk about the defense, though. They snagged 2 turnovers. Yes, they snagged 2 turnovers, and they got 3 sacks, and they were physical on defense. Defense needed to have a breakout game. They got gashed in the run and in the pass. It was like, as far as I know, 322 total yards, 322 total yards, of offense put on them. And they got gashed a little bit, but they still had a breakout game in a lot of ways of turning the ball over, getting to Cooper Rush, and having those moments was a huge thing for them in a must-win game on Monday Night Football in Dallas. Here are the negative circle moments. If you want to talk about the negative circle moments, and I think those are some negatives too. They had an interception, 10 penalties for 77 yards, 0% on 4th down, and then 4 for 10 on 3rd down. They were not good on 3rd down. They had to punt the ball away on a lot. And those are some moments right there. That is what the self-inflicting wounds come. And that is what I was talking about last week, those self-inflicting wounds that this Bengals team has that relies on discipline and it falls back on coaching. I think coaching needs to be better. I am not sold on Zach Taylor as the head coach of the Bengals. I don't think, and by the way I talk about the Bengals, you're probably thinking, oh, well, no crap, man. I mean, you're sounding like you're not sold, but I'm not. I'm not sold on Zach Taylor as head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not. I'm not sold on the future of the Bengals under his leadership. I think they can do a lot better, and I think that doing a lot better coaching-wise and the players they got on that team, this team should be a playoff team, and they are below average. And below average is with the talent that they got, with the superstar quarterback that they got that they're paying a lot of money for. They're going to pay Jamar Chase a lot of money eventually. T. Higgins, Burrow is confident that T. Higgins can come back in a surprising move. If they're trying to get T. Higgins to reconsider everything after this season, after the season that he's had, and the Patriots are trying to go after him as well, then you're thinking, okay, well, maybe we need a new head coach. Maybe we need to reevaluate everything, keep the guys together, and lead this team to a playoff. If you're the Bengals and you look for a coaching change, I would look at guys like Mike Vrabel. I would look at guys like Lions OC, Ben Johnson, if he wants to become an head coach, and if he wants to become a head coach, I would look at him, and I would look at guys like that because I think those are good fits for the Cincinnati Bengals. I really do. Ben Johnson is an offensive-minded coach. Joe Burrow would be at the top of the MVP conversation, and I think they would be a solid fit, and they would be a solid fit for the Bengals, hands down. Hands down, I really do. I really think so. I think those are names that you would consider for that job. Zach Taylor's not getting it done, even though they just won, but those are some of the self-inflicting wounds that I'm talking about with this team. And luckily it paid off because they were playing a team that also is just tad bit worse. Tad bit worse. That's just a tad bit worse, right? Than the Bengals and self-inflicting wounds. So 27-20 was the final score of this game. Burrow looked good. They need to clean up a lot if they want to win out because their schedule is tough. It is tough. This coming up Sunday, they got the Titans, which is a winnable game. That could be a 6-8 record there at 1 Eastern, noon Central in Tennessee. I think if they lose this game, they lose one more, it's over. They're eliminated from playoff contention, in my opinion, because 8-9 is not going to do it. But if they win this game, they have to get past the Browns, the Broncos, and the Steelers. Those are tough games that they got to get past. They have to get past an AFC North, a tough team that is a playoff caliber team, that Bo Nix is hungry, and they're leading the league in sacks, and they got to get past a team where they just lost to in the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's at the top of the AFC North right now and is looking like a playoff team with Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh. And those are some tough games right there. So they got an away game. Excuse me. An away game against Tennessee. They got 2 home games against an AFC North and a tough Broncos team, and then an away game against the ringleader of the AFC North this year. They have to win all of that to be considered in the playoff consideration. That 9-8. So if they lose one more game, it's over. Hands down. 27-20 was the final score. Let's talk about Dallas for a little bit. I'm not going to take too much time because we already know what the situation with Dallas is. And then we will move on to the injury report, news out of Chapel Hill, and then the Week 15 preview and predictions for this coming up weekend slate of NFL games. Cowboys, if you want to look at everything there, they did their best on the ground. They really did. Rico Dowdell, 131 yards, 18 carries. Turpin had 18 yards, 2 carries. Cooper Rush had 16 for 31, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. It was kind of hard for them to get down the field in a lot of areas. They messed up their punt and gave the ball back to the Bengals. Special teams was kind of a disaster in that game. 93 yards, 6 receptions, and a touchdown for CeeDee Lamb. Jake Ferguson, 32 yards, 3 receptions. Luke Shoemaker, 22 yards, 2 receptions. And let me look. Let me look there. Turpin had a 16-yard reception. Cooks had a 3-yard touchdown reception. And this team played physical. They sacked Joe Burrow. As far as I know, if I look, 2 times. They sacked him twice, and the defense played physical and played really, really good. And I think the defense is what kept them in it. Parsons played good. Kendricks played good. Unfortunately, with DeMarvion Overshown, we're going to talk about that. Heartbreaking loss there, but for the season there with the knee injury, but the defense played really, really physical, but I think everything else just kind of collapsed under them. The special teams kind of got botched with the punt. Some of the positive circle moments were with the defense, and the running was positive. I think those are the 2 positive circle moments for this team. Cooper Rush was hot and cold throughout the game, and the negative circle moments come in where for the Cowboys, I mean, the positives were there with the defense and the running. They looked good running the ball, and they had and then the positive circle moment was with the defense. It really was. But here comes the negatives. I mean, 4 penalties, 36 yards, 4 for 12 on third down efficiency, and two turnovers, a fumble and an interception, costly, and special teams were kind of a dud in this game as well. Bad punt, botched punt led to a 40-yard game-winning touchdown to Jamar Chase, and it cost them the game. A self-inflicted win by Dallas, and it cost them this ball game. They're 5-8, no Dak Prescott, and you're wondering, scratching your head, when the Trey Lance thing can come in for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm all for Trey Lance getting a shot at quarterback for the rest of the year and just to get some experience in, but they are not using Trey Lance. They traded for him, but they're not using him. That is just per Jerry Jones. And a lot of it's, you're going to say, oh, Mike McCarthy this, Mike McCarthy that. It's not the coach. Because the same things are going to happen with Dak in there. The same things are going to happen with Dak out of there. The same things are going to happen with Mike McCarthy in there and with Mike McCarthy out of there. Wholeheartedly believe that. Playoff? No playoff. Don't see them being a Super Bowl team until Jerry Jones is done done with football operations for this team. Hands down. And I've said that countless times again. I'm beating a dead horse at this point again. But for me, I believe that this team is not going to get anywhere with Jerry Jones continuing to run the operations of football because he's doing it on field. He's literally the only owner that I know that is on. He's hands-on on field. He's more hands-on on field and off field with the business ventures also for the Cowboys, and it's not good. It's not good. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. I'm not a rocket scientist to know that he's hands-on with the on-field operations. He's not he's the head coach of the team as well. So a coaching change won't make sense. Won't matter. McCarthy can be released because he's in his final year of his contract. He's in his final year of his Cowboys contract. He can get a new head coach, but what's it going to matter? What's it going to do? The Cowboys are looking at Mike Vrabel as a potential fit, but what's it going to matter? What's it going to matter? I would want Mike Vrabel to go elsewhere because it's not going to matter anything. It's really not. That's my point. If they don't, they want to go all in and they want to change, but there's no change there. And they're not trying and not putting in the effort to change. They're talking about it, but they're not putting the motions in the action to fix anything. And that's my point. Despite the injuries are tough. But I'm saying when everybody's healthy, there needs to be change. And they're not putting in that motion to try to fix the football team. And they're not doing it. So that's my take on it. Cowboys this Sunday, they have the Panthers in a winnable game. It's in Carolina. It's a winnable game, but not so winnable because it's 1 Eastern, noon Central kick, and Bryce Young has been much improved in a lot of these games. Yes, he has, for sure. Cowboys at Panthers, 1 Eastern, noon Central, this Sunday in Week 15. So we'll see how the Cowboys do in that game. Final score, 27-20. Call me the Magic Man. Bengals defeat the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Bengals have the Titans, and the Cowboys have the Panthers in Week 15. team. That was the Week 14 recap for this past week. Let's talk about the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report. Go to the news out of Chapel Hill, and then we'll talk about our preview predictions for the top matchups for Week 15 and the games we are covering this week on the show. So, let's get right down to it as I clear everything on my notes. The Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report goes like this. Tonight, big news tonight for fantasy owners or for anybody and for fans and 49ers faithful. 49ers running back Isaac Garandino has a sprained foot, and he is a true game-time decision tonight versus the Rams. Game-time decision. He sprained his foot against the Bears this past Sunday, coming off of a short window. We do not know. He's missed a couple of practices. We will see if he plays tonight. Game-time decision with a sprained foot, a hit already with the running back room, and the injuries for the Niners already. We will have to see if he is available tonight or not. Game-time decision tonight versus the Rams. Saints quarterback Derek Carr has a fractured hand. He's out for the rest of the season. It's his non-throwing hand, but he is still out for the rest of the season. Thoughts and prayers are with Derek Carr. Hopefully he heals and makes a speedy recovery for this New Orleans Saints team. Tough break for the Saints there, who just lost Taysom Hill for the season with a knee injury as well. Cowboys linebacker DeMarvion Overshawn tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL and is out for the rest of the season after suffering that injury versus the Bengals this past Monday. So tough break for Overshawn there. Thoughts and prayers are with him, and hopefully he makes a speedy recovery as well. Tough break for the defense for the Cowboys, who are getting kind of hammered with injuries right now. Texans safety Jalen Patier tore his pectoral muscle and is out for the rest of the season. Thoughts and prayers are with him, and hopefully he makes a speedy recovery for the 2025 season. Tough break for the Texans secondary, but good news is they get Christian Harris back for if in their lineup at linebacker. So good news there for the Houston Texans. So thoughts and prayers are with both of those guys, that they make speedy recoveries as well. Raiders quarterback Aiden O'Connell knee. It was supposed to be season-ending, but however, it turns out it is not a season-ending injury, which is good news, and he is hoping to return at some point in the regular season. So thoughts and prayers with Aiden O'Connell there and his knee injury. Hopefully he feels better and gets a speedy recovery, with the Raiders being hit hard with the quarterback injuries for Gardner Minshew being out and Aiden O'Connell being out as well. Last but not least, Giants quarterback Drew Lock is out Sunday versus the Ravens with a heel injury. Thoughts and prayers are with him, and hopefully he makes a speedy recovery and is good to go sooner rather than later. Tommy DeVito will make the start Sunday against the Ravens at home. So thoughts and prayers with everybody on this list. Hopefully everybody makes a speedy recovery and everybody gets back on the field soon, and everybody is good to go for 2025 and beyond, and sooner rather than later. That was the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report. Before we do our preview predictions for Week 15, let's talk about some news that I don't talk about here on the NFL episodes, but it's college, and it's college related, but it was too good to not talk about because it involves the NFL. Bill Belichick's been looking for a job, and he has been looking for a job ever since he left the New England Patriots. His desire was to coach in the NFL again. However, he has been listed as a second tier compared to a lot of other coaches in the NFL right now, behind a Mike Vrabel, behind a Ben Johnson, behind an Aaron Glenn, behind a lot of these guys. And he looked towards college football, as college football has been a staple with NIL and the transfer portal, and he's doing the value of college football and the marketing and the TV, all that deal, the recruiting, all of this. And he's researched it, studied a lot about it during the whole season, watched it, knows how the ins and outs of it. He now knows the ins and outs of college football now, and he was interested in one particular opening. Matt Brown, the legendary head coach out of North Carolina and Texas, he has been relieved of his duties as head coach there, and he decides, you know what, I'm going to interview for the job. So he interviews for the North Carolina job 2 times, meets the chancellor, sends a bunch of packaging and a 400-page Bible, structured payments, and how he's going to staff his guys, how he's going to run the program, all these things, how he's going to value NIL and the transfer portal and high school recruiting and everything, and just what an interview does and the layout of what he would do as the head coach of the Tar Heels. And it's been reported now that he will go to college football for the first time in his career. For the first time now, 6-time Super Bowl champion Bill Belichick will become the next head coach at North Carolina, and he will be the next Tar Heels coach for the 2025 season and beyond. It is a 3-year deal for $30 million. Huge deal. Huge deal. Huge deal. 3 years, $30 million new deal, as he is now the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. That is a high-paid contract in college football. High-paid college football deal. 3-year, $30 million deal per The Athletic. All credit goes to them. Pete Thamel for College Football Insider and Chris Lowe from ESPN reported that just the other day. So an NFL coach who wanted to become an NFL coach again is now making the jump as a North Carolina college football head coach now. So he's now in college football. I'm going to be covering him on Tuesdays now. But when you think about it, when you think about it, and you think about everything with him moving from the NFL to college, it's just something. It's a spectacle. It's almost like when Nick Saban left college to go to the NFL to coach the Miami Dolphins when I was little in 2003, 2004. And it's a spectacle, but it's backwards. It's a role reversal. He's leaving the NFL and going to college because he wants to coach college football. He wants to be a head coach again. There wasn't really a lot of jobs lined up for him in the NFL. So what does he do? He wants to be a head coach. He does it in the college football level, and the college football level is doing a lot, and I mean a lot, in that realm of how they are operating in the NFL structure. What do I mean by that? Well, doing a lot of NFL things like valuing NIL, valuing money for players, paying players to come to play for college football, transfer portal. It's almost like free agency in the NFL, right? Free agency in the NFL, that's the equivalent to the transfer portal in college football. And Bill Belichick can run that program like an NFL GM, like how he did at New England. He can run that football program and treat it as such. And how he can recruit, how he can use the portal, NIL, high school recruiting, 18-year-old kids. We don't know. We don't know how he's going to coach all these players and how they're all going to be there. It's going to be quite interesting to see him coaching college football on Saturdays and coaching and holding footballs with the white on the football instead of a plain old football in the NFL. Coaching football on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays is different than coaching on Sundays. It's different. College football is different than in the NFL, but it's interesting to see him make that jump. Will he be successful? I don't know. Who knows? We're going to see in 2025 what he can do during the offseason and what he can add to the portal, to high school recruiting, to the class of 2026 in February. With the final recruits coming up and signing in February. We're going to see all that, what he can do. How is this going to translate from the NFL and to the college football world? How is that going to be a factor? That's what everyone's going to want to know. We don't know until he does it. I'm not going to jump on the thing and say, oh, he's going to fail. But I'm also not going to sit there and say it's going to work either. You're just going to have to wait and see what Belichick does at the college level. It's interesting. It's quite interesting to sit there and say, a 6-time Super Bowl champion is becoming a head coach in the college football level. They got him. They landed him. He will be the next head coach at North Carolina. NFL legendary coach and 6-time Super Bowl champion and future Hall of Famer Bill Belichick will be a college football head coach as the North Carolina, for the North Carolina Tar Heels in Chapel Hill in the ACC conference. So very interesting there for the ACC that Bill Belichick is now a part of college football. That's the latest news out of the NFL going to college there. Let's talk about more about NFL football, though. The Week 15 preview and predictions, the games that we are covering for this weekend. Let's kick it off. Week 15 preview predictions here on Pigskin Frenzy. Let's kick it off with a 1 Eastern, noon Central kick game. The Dolphins at Texans. Interesting game there. Dolphins at Texans. Dolphins are 6-7. Texans are 8-5. Texans don't need to keep losing, but the Dolphins need a really good win here. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic for both teams, but we're going to figure it out and see who wants it more this coming up Sunday. The Dolphins' keys are pretty simple. Number one, you got to win on third down. 1 for 9 on third down versus the Jets. I know you capitalized on first and second downs, but third down is huge and winning, and you're not going to win a game doing it 1 for 9 on third down against a team like the Texans or above. So, number one, you got to win on third down and make your third down conversions count. Number two, slow down their running game. Houston is currently 16th in running the football on offense in the National Football League. Miami is currently 7th in rushing defense in the National Football League. So top 10 rushing defense in the league. You have that defense to kind of slow down Joe Mixon and to kind of make C.J. Stroud beat you with his arm. And you have the passing defense to capitalize on that as well. So let's just see what goes down. I think slowing down the run, kind of making the Texans one-dimensional would be a huge thing for them, especially on the road this Sunday afternoon. So if you're the Dolphins, I would slow down their running game. Number three, establish the running game. Miami is currently 24th at running the football in the league. Houston is currently 10th in rushing defense in the league. So another top 10 rushing defense that you got to get past. If you can find a way to establish the running game and have more of a balanced offense, because your offense is sort of one-dimensional, because the passing is solid, great passing, kind of bit of a low point when it comes to running the football. Get Mostert back involved more. Get A-Chain back involved more. Balance the offense out against a solid defense. And if you're able to run the ball on a solid rushing defense like the Texans, then you have a shot at winning this game come Sunday afternoon. Those are the Dolphins' keys there. Here are the Texans' keys for this game. Number one, contain their passing attack. Miami is currently 14th in passing offense in the league. Houston is currently 7th in passing defense in the league. So you have a shot because you have a good passing defense in the top 10 in the National Football League. If you can make them one-dimensional by slowing down their run and then containing their passing attack, covering their receivers, and forcing some 3-and-outs, then the Texans are going to have no problem winning this ball game, hands down. So if you can do that, you have a shot at winning this ball game. Number two, get to Tua Tagovailoa. Force some pressures on him, sack him, and get the ball out of his hands and force some pressures that way. So number two, get to the quarterback and get to Tua. Number three, start off fast. You have to start off fast in this game. I think if you start off fast, get this Dolphins defense on its heels a little bit and score early and quick, you have a shot at winning this ball game and running away with it early. So those are the Texans' keys. Those are the Dolphins' keys. Who do I got winning this ball game? I think it's going to be closer than what people think. I think the Dolphins are going to bring it. I think the Dolphins are going to throw the ball quite well. However, I do not trust the one-dimensional side of things with them not being able to run the ball quite well. I think that the Texans can have more of a balanced offense, and I think their defense is a tiny bit better than the Dolphins when it comes to making somebody one-dimensional. So I'm going to go with Houston to squeak by with a win here. At home, Houston wins it. I think they win it by a score of 21-17. Texans 21, Dolphins 17. The Texans get a win. They move to 9-5, and the Dolphins go to 6-8. But I got the Texans defeating the Dolphins and getting a home win here for the Houston faithful. So the Texans win 21-17 and beat the Miami Dolphins at home. Next up, Buccaneers at Chargers. Buccaneers are 7-6. Chargers are 8-5. 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central kick. Los Angeles, California, SoFi Stadium. The Bucs are back in it. as the ringleaders of the NFC South after the lackluster few weeks by the Atlanta Falcons. Even though the Falcons have a 2-game edge against them, the Buccaneers have kept winning and the Falcons have kept losing. So now the Buccaneers have jumped back in the race of being the NFC South champions in their division. Bucks at Chargers. The Chargers, coming off of a loss against the Kansas City Chiefs and Arrowhead, are looking for some bounce-back performances after losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bucks are keeping it rolling and see if they can get some more momentum and get another win. The Buccaneers' keys are pretty simple. Number one, you got to protect the football. And two turnovers versus the Raiders are not the best. You got to protect the football, especially against this Jesse Minter defense, because they will capitalize on those turnovers. So protect the football, keep it out of the defense's hands, and just protect the ball. Number two, protect Baker Mayfield, because 4 sacks allowed versus the Raiders, while the Chargers are not protecting Justin Herbert very well. They're pretty good at getting to the quarterback. They are currently 5th in sacks on defense. So they are top 5 in sacks in the National Football League on defense. So they can get to Baker Mayfield. That's not a good sign for Baker Mayfield. They have to protect Baker Mayfield. They have to be physical on the line of scrimmage to protect him from getting sacks. That's going to cost them the game if they do not. So protect Baker Mayfield at all costs in this ball game. Number 3, slow down their running game. Chargers are currently 19th in running the football in the league. The Buccaneers are 11th in rushing defense in the league. So if you can slow down their running game, it's been kind of stagnant as of late, ever since the injury to J.K. Dobbins. If you can slow down their running game, kind of make them one-dimensional, you have a shot at winning this game on the road. So I would lean more towards on the third key, and that's slowing down their running game. The Chargers' keys are this. Number 1, get to Baker Mayfield. Sack him, pressure him, and get to him. You're 5th in sacks. Put some pressure on him and get to Baker Mayfield that way. Number 2, force the turnovers. They have been turning the ball over against the Raiders and against other teams. Force some turnovers, and you should be fine in this game and capitalize off those turnovers if you are the Chargers. Number 3, slow down their running game. If you can slow down their running game, you should be fine. I mean, Tampa Bay, currently 8th. If you're the Chargers, currently 8th. Tampa Bay is currently 8th in running the football in the league. Chargers are currently 14th in rushing defense in the league. So you're facing a top 10 running team. They can run the ball on you, but you have a solid defense enough to kind of contain that. So if you can contain their running ability and slow down their backs and slow down the run, you should be fine in this ball game. Who do I got winning this ball game this coming up Sunday? Joel Norris, think this game's going to be closer than what the experts think. I think it's going to be really close. I am more lenient towards the Chargers in this game. I think the Chargers are going to squeak by with a win. I think the Bucs are going to play a hard-fought game. I just am worried about the turnovers, and I think the protecting Baker Mayfield is getting to me a little bit. I like the Chargers in this one. I think that they have more of a better O-line than the Buccaneers do at this point right now. Give me the Chargers to win a home game against the Bucs to go 9-5, and the Bucs go to 7-7. Give me the Chargers winning 20-17. Close game. Chargers 20, Buccaneers 17 to edge it out. Chargers defeat the Buccaneers at home and play solid defense. So, Chargers defeat the Bucs at home and get a bounce back win. Steelers at Eagles. Did y'all not know that they were playing? Steelers at Eagles. A battle for a Pennsylvania game. It is going to be electric in Lincoln Financial Field this Sunday afternoon, 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central kick. Going to be a solid game this Sunday afternoon. Chilly, cold, but these teams are physical and they are both playoff teams. I cannot wait to cover this game. Steelers 10-3 on a tear as of late. The Eagles are also on a tear as of late. They are both looking to continue their momentum. Let's see who gets their momentum halted for the time being. Steelers at Eagles, 10-3, and the Eagles are 11-2. The Steelers' keys are simple. Number 1, you got to minimize those penalties. 6 penalties for 61 yards versus the Browns. You got to clean those up. You got to be more disciplined, and you can't have those in a game like of this magnitude. So clean those penalties up. If you can do that, you're fine. Clean the penalties up if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 2, force the turnovers. They snagged three turnovers versus the Browns this past Sunday. If the Eagles turn the ball over, and they're a solid defense, this is probably the best defense that the Eagles have faced up to date, really. So if they can force some turnovers in the pass, for sure, it will be a good game for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one. So for that reason, Steelers can win this game if they force those turnovers. Number 3, slow down their running game. Philly is currently first in rushing offense in the league. Pitt is currently 4th in rushing defense in the league. So if they can slow them down, have enough slowing them down, if they can find a way to use that rushing defense to slow Pitt down, slow Philadelphia down, and make them one-dimensional, because they are already one-dimensional. They got to beat them through the air. The Eagles have a low rate of throwing the football, second fewest in passing yards per game. That's second fewest in the league in passing yards per game right now. I think it was like 183.6 what I read last time. Then it's going to be a long day for Philly if the Steelers can slow their rushing game down. So if the Pittsburgh Steelers win that, I think they have a shot right there. They have a shot. So number 3, slow down their running game. The Eagles' keys are simple. Number 1, establish the running game. If you can establish the running game, run wild like with Saquon Barkley, and get that running game going, I think you have a shot at winning this ball game. Number 2, protect Jalen Hurts. 4 sacks allowed versus the Panthers. The Steelers can get to you. TJ Watt can get to you. Protect Jalen Hurts against this incredible Steelers defense, and you should be fine in this ball game. Number 3, win on third down. 7 for 12 on third down versus the Panthers. Very, very good on third down versus the Panthers. If you can find a way to capitalize and move the ball down and convert on third down in this game against the Steelers, you have a shot at winning this ball game. Who do I got winning this game Sunday? I think the questions are going to be, 1, for the Steelers, can you make them one-dimensional? If you can make them throw and slow down and contain the run, you have an easy shot at winning this game. But if you can't slow their running game down, then for the Eagles, you have to run the ball at a consistent rate against this defense, and that's how you win this ball game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be back and forth. I was leaning more towards the Eagles in this game. In this game right now. But for some reason, I don't know what is going on, but I keep thinking Steelers defense. I'm going to shock everybody right now, and I think the Steelers are going to come away with a win here. I think the Steelers are going to find a way to defeat the Eagles. I said I wasn't going to pick against the Eagles right now, but this game and the way everything's going right now on offense, they have a solid rushing attack, and this Eagles defense is solid. I love the Eagles defense. The Eagles defense is solid. Don't get me wrong. I was very conflicted about picking this game. I was going to pick the Eagles heading into this game or heading into the show. But before I started the show, I was like, I think this Eagles team can be one-dimensional if the defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers let it. They did that against the Ravens, and I think they can do it against the Eagles. Give me the Steelers winning a close one. Steelers 28, Eagles 21. Steelers 28, Eagles 21. Russell Wilson is playing pretty incredible ball right now and doing just enough to get the win. So the Steelers win it, and they go to 11-3, and the Eagles go to 11-3. Steelers 28, Eagles 21, and the Steelers get a road win, an impressive road win over the Eagles in Philadelphia. So give me the Steelers to win this ball game coming up Sunday afternoon. Shocking, I know, but I'm picking the Steelers. Last but not least, Bills at Lions. Bills at Lions. This is going to be pure cinema. I cannot wait for this game. Bills are 10-3, looking for a bounce-back win after they lost to the Rams. The Lions are looking to continue their momentum and go to 13-1 and be the best team in the NFC right now against a huge win against the Buffalo Bills at home. Cinema game right here, 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central kick. Something has got to give in this football game Sunday afternoon. Bills' keys are pretty simple. Number one, find a way to slow down their offense down. I mean, Detroit is currently second in offense in the National Football League. Buffalo is currently 14th in defense in the league. So a top 15 defense, not bad, but you're playing against a top 2 offense this Sunday afternoon. They have a perfect balance of running the ball and a perfect balance of play action pass and throwing the ball under Ben Johnson, and it is insanely hard to try to slow them down. So if you can find a way to slow them down, then it should be a solid game and a solid day for you on defense. It's find a way to contain them on offense and slow them down. Number 2 for the Bills, minimize the penalties. Get 7 penalties for 59 yards versus the Rams. If that happens against the Lions will capitalize on that, and it will be a game killer for you in this game. So minimize the penalties in this ball game. Number 3, Josh Allen just got to keep playing the way he's playing. That's my third and final key. Keep playing the way you're playing. He had 6 total touchdowns last week and almost 400-plus yards total. Like, this is an MVP caliber quarterback that the Lions are facing off against. I think that if Josh Allen keeps playing the way he's playing, they have a shot at winning this ball game. So keep playing the way you're playing, and you got this, honestly. So keep playing the way you're playing, and you have a shot at winning this ball game if you can try to find some holes in that Lions defense. Lions keys are simple, too. Number 1, minimize the penalties. I mean, 7 penalties for 56 yards against the Packers, just like the Bills. If you had this much penalties against the Bills are gonna make you pay for it, and it's gonna be a game killer, and they're gonna get the second loss put on their record. So minimize those penalties, play disciplined ball in this one, and you should be fine in this game. Number 2, win on third down. 7 for 15 on third down versus the Packers in this ball game. If you find a way to do that, and you find a way to get those third downs out there and win on third down, you have a strong shot at winning this game if you can just convert and capitalize on your third downs. Number 3, force turnovers. If you can find a way to force turnovers, Josh Allen's been almost perfect in turnovers this year for some reason. Last year, he was leading the league. This year, he's gone off. If you can find a way to turn the ball over, that is a huge win for this Lions team and defense. So find a way for Josh Allen to turn the ball over and this Bills offense to turn the ball over. So those are the Lions' keys. Those are the Bills' keys. So the question is, can they contain Josh Allen? That's a huge question for the Lions. And a number 2 for both teams, playing disciplined ball and minimizing the penalties. I think those are the game killers there. Those are the main questions for both teams in that regard. Who do I have winning this ball game? I think the Bills are going to provide a huge challenge for the Lions in this ball game. Josh Allen is insane. It's going to be an entertaining and fun football game Sunday afternoon. I think the Bills are going to be close, and they're going to play competitively. However, it is hard to go against the Lions, especially at home right now in this point in time. Give me the Lions to squeak by with a win. Squeak by with a win. I got it about the same as the Packers game, honestly. I'm going to go with a score of 31-28. Lions 31, Bills 28. Bills go to 10-4. Lions go to 13-1. And I think that the Lions squeak by and defeat the Bills in a huge and exciting game this Sunday afternoon. Give me the Lions 13-1, 31-28. Give me the Lions to defeat the Bills in a close game Sunday afternoon. That is my Week 15 NFL preview and predictions and the games that we were covering for this weekend. That is all the time we got for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, a huge thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow up the pages there. You're going to get episode updates, news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, check out the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com for all things Pigskin Frenzy and updates eventually on the website. More on that coming soon. We will be back Tuesday, guys. A huge thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday today to listen to some NFL coverage. We will be back Tuesday for our latest edition of Pigskin Frenzy, episode 184. Coming up this Tuesday, we're going to recap the Army and Navy game. We're also going to preview and predict the first round of the college football playoff, first round games, and predict the top bowl games that we are covering this season. So only a few bowl games that we're covering this season. We're going to do a few bowl games, predict those, and preview and predict those, and preview and predict the first round of the college football playoff games. And we're covering all the college football playoffs. So until Tuesday afternoon, until Tuesday for college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy, I'm Joel Norris signing off. We will see you Tuesday, and we will see you then. For everybody out there, please and always, we are praying for you, and we love you all. As always, stay the course.